There's one.
Are you gonna make calendar events for these things for the final bicentennial schedule stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Okay, we will call a meeting to order. It's Tuesday, October 6th, 2020. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Born and unborn.
Okay, minutes and reports received and filed.
September 2020 clerk fees, recorder fees, and sheriff fees filed, and September 2020 auditor's report filed.
Okay. Commissioner Committee Liaison reports, upcoming meetings and events.
Is tonight that Russellville meeting, Chris? Okay. You going to that then? Got it covered?
I'm gonna try. Got football, but I'll try to get there.
Okay. I hadn't heard a whole lot about it, so I didn't.
Don't know if they're still having it or not.
Yeah. So then got the Cole County Hazard Mitigation Planning Kickoff meeting Wednesday.
Yeah,
Are you going to that? I don't think I'll make that either.
I don't think so, but I got some other meetings.
Okay.
Gosh.
We've got our Economic Development Transition Committee meeting Thursday.
Are you doing that virtually? Because we were supposed to have had our meeting last week at the chamber, and then they closed it down because half their people have COVID, so I assume you're virtual then?
I know it's set up to where you can Zoom, but
Yeah.
I'm not afraid. So
Well, they closed their offices
I could use a
altogether.
2-week vacation. I mentioned that last week. It's right in the midst of deer season. Are we doing, I haven't heard anything about our Renegades coffee this Friday.
I haven't either. And I did K-Wash yesterday morning, so.
Okay, I think that's kind of, that's about it. A few other little things.
I think there's a salute meeting Wednesday at 11:30. It's the only thing else I got.
Yeah. Are they doing traffic and safety? Because I'm not gonna make it, because,
Not this week.
okay, because Thursdays we're meeting here at 8 a.m. for CARES.
It will be.
Okay, I probably won't make that either. Then we got the Chiefs meeting Thursday night. And then Friday morning, Krista and I are gonna do the Chamber Friday coffee. So, that's all I've got. Bids and contracts. Do we have any unfinished business? Nope, new business, accounts payable review.
We have accounts payable to review.
Move that we approve accounts payable pending review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're gonna move around a little bit and get Christie out of here, so, because CARE's gonna take a while, so signing of annual agreement with Maternal Child Health Services.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is the annual renewal with the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services for the Maternal Child Health Grant. So our focus area has been smoking cessation. So when pregnant moms come in and meet with Jana and learn about quitting smoking, and I think she does like a CO2 test. Anyway, as long as their levels are decreasing, then they get diapers or wipes, some incentives to stop smoking while they're pregnant. So I think it's about the same amount as last year. 36,000 and some change.
Okay.
Good.
Hey, Lynn, will you make me copies of
It's the child health one.
Yeah, maternal child.
Okay. Move that we approve and sign the maternal child health services agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, signing of annual agreement with Child Care Health Consultation. Cole.
I'll do them together. So these are the agreements where we go in and go to the daycare centers and we do classes either for the daycare providers or we do little programs for the kids like the hand washing demonstration with the glow germ and the UV light. And we do this in Cole County, and we also do Callaway County because they didn't have a staff member to do it. So there's 2 contracts here, one for Cole County and one for Callaway.
Okay.
Yep.
And I marked them this time because otherwise Steve, well, I think the other
Sure,
contract members.
yep. All right, I move that we approve and sign the child care health consultation for Cole County and Callaway County.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Signing of annual agreement with child care health consultation for Callaway.
We just did it.
Oh,
We did it
no, this was
together.
Cole.
Nope, we approved for both.
Oh, for both, okay,
There you
never
go.
mind.
Catch up, Sam.
Well, I was signing the one. Okay, then,
It's the echo.
yeah, we will shift around.
Where's that gavel at?
Do we've got approval of mass generation and printer module for Assessor's office.
Yes, I have the quote for the creation of the mass PRC generation and printing module. I had Jill look at it.
Yeah, I think that was all emailed to us, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. This is all that to it. And it's basically so that they can print, say, like a whole township of PRCs for their people to be able to go out and do field work.
What does PRC stand for?
Property record card.
Okay. Just curious. All right, I'm good.
Yep.
I'm good.
Move that we approve and sign the creation of the mass PRC generation and printing module.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, then do we have the discussion of Deadnet agreement, or is that,
It's the same thing.
okay,
just on here
we're done with
twice.
that. Signing of surplus title.
So we have a 2014 Ford Explorer, I think, damaged with hail that got totaled by insurance.
Okay. I move that we sign the surplus title.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then we will go back to care.
Can we-
Internal,
Yeah, let's do the internal ones first.
Internal Cares Act application.
So we have 2 to talk about. We'll let Eric go first. He has some software that he'd like to apply for CARES Act with.
Been working with some companies, demoing some software for asset management. It can basically manage every aspect of what we do. There's many levels of it. The primary item we started looking at it for was to manage our work order tasking, be able to assign tasks, track when they're done, track employees working on them, equipment, material. This would help us better track expenses on different, isolated projects that we do. It can also track every other thing that we do, whether it's plowing snow, pavement management, fleet management. So we started looking at this software back when we started doing our pavement management program earlier in the year, and then started getting some contacts from different companies saying that you can purchase this software through CARES funding. And the main way that they market it is that you can use the software to remotely assign tasks to employees. And you don't have to gather together in a meeting every morning to figure out what we're going to do for the day. And so that's the main item that they use to be able to say that you can use CARES money for this. And so we would like to submit an application for the software. We've been, like I said, looking at it since earlier in the year. It's something that becoming director, it's something that I would like to move into to better track what we do. Primarily with the work order tasking, we use an old access management database. It's very cumbersome, paper trail that it seems like it's hard to track. And this would help us a lot better track what we do and get things done on time and be able to tell the citizens when things are going to happen and show them that we've completed the task. So, but then it can go into the managing equipment costs, repair spend on equipment, the whole the whole gamut of what we do with our equipment and be able to track when it's time to trade something or move something on and buy new equipment. So I think, Kristen, this was just a discussion to see if you were okay if we apply for this funding, for this software. Costs, I don't have it in front of me. I think you got it. Yeah. So we've looked at two, Cartograph and Dude Solutions. There's other companies, CityWorks, PubWorks. There's many, and it's really kind of the industry trend is to go to this. Annual fees for Cartograph is $35,000. Dude Solutions is $26,000, and then there's initial setup fees of about $25,000. The CARES funding would pay for the setup plus 1 year.
Well, so Julie, are you on the phone? Can you hear us?
Yes, I'm listening.
So if we do a software like that, can we pay the first year's annual license for that, or do we have to prorate that for just the months that CARES funding is available?
I believe, I'm gonna defer to Leanne, but I believe it's only for through 12/30. Is that correct, Leanne?
Yes, and that's how we've been treating all of the other similar annual fees that have come through from other applicants.
So you could pay for the initial setup, and you could pay for, at this point, 2 months or 2.5 months, depending on when your application gets approved of the annual fee, but.
Okay, that's not what was explained to me in talking with both of these companies. Basically, you pay the upfront and it carries you through the year, so.
Sure.
It's whatever you all decide on that. But
Everything else we've done has just been through the end of the year at this point, so.
Yeah.
Ongoing fees that carry into the next year, it just covers you for the, okay.
So
Right.
we'd have to foot the bill for the rest of it, unless something changes, which the rules have changed probably daily.
We haven't
Maybe
seen an
not so much
extension of
daily.
time or anything yet, though.
No.
Yeah, that would be the only thing is if they come through with the extension.
But my argument with them as far as the money would be, you can't get a subscription till December 31st. You have to get a 1-year subscription, so, why wouldn't they pay it?
Yeah, now, I do believe there is a clause for, again, it has to be reasonable. So, if something comes up and you have that subscription at the end of the year, and we'll research, I've got the language, I just can't quote it right now, but I have seen some kind of exigent circumstances in that respect. The only issue would be really, I know there's a remote component to this, but really tying it back to why, it's directly related to COVID. And just being sure that if it was considered too early in the year, like, was that something, even though it's not part of your budget, that, you were already planning on spending the funds for? So that's the only thing that we would need documentation for, sure that it's, it's definitely COVID related. And then by Thursday, I'll get that language about, if we were to incur the cost like at December 31st. Again, it has to be because of the COVID. So if we're doing it now and it's gonna help going forward and it's something that, you're gonna use whether you have COVID or not, then you have to make that case that, and it would only be through 12/30. But if something comes up COVID related and you have to get it for, at the end of the year, and it's a 1-year subscription, then I think that would fall under the regular circumstances. So I'll get that language.
I mean, I like the idea of doing it, regardless of whether CARES funding would cover it. I think, just from kind of looking from the outside at your operations and, obviously on a daily workload, you're just having problems getting probably guys out the door and getting them on the job, and then how long is that actually taking, and is it worthwhile to do it in-house versus hire it? I would think that would be, some of the costs and actually looking at your true costs. But task management, maybe not bringing everybody into Monticello and having them work out of Centertown and Brazito and different areas, you know, if that's mobilized there or meet there and get to the job quicker. You know, it's all about efficiency, and so that's basically what you're talking about here.
Yeah, efficiency is the key word. It would help us tremendously in getting things going, tracking them, and be able to more or less have a crew come in, hop in their truck and go, rather than wait for their daily orders or whatever.
Right.
Or even to just kind of get concrete and get ready to go. I mean, it can speed up things. It'll help us internally be able to track, you know, when things are getting done. It'll help us with performance management to be able to see tasks assigned to each crew leader. Are they getting them done? Are we assigning too many to one crew leader, not spread it out? I think it'll help a lot with that. One thing to note is that this is, you know, there's initial fee, but then it's ongoing every year, so it will be a yearly cost. That's something to think about as well. So it's not
And
just
would
a
that
one-time-
require some type of iPad or something for your crew leader to have to be able to send that to them? And then sometimes sometimes it's beneficial to look at not only the project that you're currently doing, but what are the other projects that are kind of in the hopper per se, and you know, how can we kind of clump these in clusters and try to knock these out together, so that we're not driving from this side of the county to the other side of the county and mobilizing.
It
So-
would require iPads primarily for the crew leader. We've purchased one. We are purchasing a second for our two road inspectors or construction inspectors. And they're starting to use them in their daily items. But so we got crew leaders, you know, 5 crew leaders or so. You could even give one to each employee. There's some counties and cities in the state that each employee has one. Some just, you know, the field, you know, the regular employees, maintenance workers or operators, they'll just use their phone and use an app. So it's all app, you know, web-based. Crew leaders can do things in their truck and, you know, work on it there rather than have to come into the office and, you know, check things or get a piece of paper that has another task. So it's the way things are moving in our industry. I've been seeing this at different conferences for 10+ years, and it's the way the larger cities are going, larger counties, and it's trickling on down to people like us that it can make our jobs a lot easier, and primarily just, you know, be responsive to the public and getting things done on time, and be able to, when somebody calls in, where's this project, where's it at, we can say where it's scheduled and what's gonna happen a little bit easier. So.
I know for me, I mean, obviously in your everyday work, I think this would be beneficial, but even, you know, even looking at snow and ice management and doing things a little differently, and we tag team everything, and so, and I know you guys got spreaders on all your trucks, but for us, it's great to have guys that push snow, and then it's great to have guys that have the ability to push snow, but then they're just spreading salt, so we don't have guys, you know, off the road going back and forth to just spread, you know, just spread salt or just go wait in line to go get loaded up. So, you know, might be something that you look at, but anyway, I mean, if you can keep just guys spreading salt and guys plowing it, especially in bigger events where, you know, maybe you're not spreading salt, you know, think of those, but it's just always neat to try different things, but for us, it's very efficient to have guys that just plow snow and the blade hits the ground and just they keep going, and guys coming behind spreading the salt, and obviously that doesn't work all the time, but sometimes it does. So works well for us.
Yeah, that snow and ice removal, that's one feature of this. The fleet, and I didn't really talk much about that, but the fleet management would be a big thing too. Keeping track of our expenses on our vehicles. This can go all the way down to building inspections, facilities management, tracking expenses on buildings and things. There's really no limit to what you could use it for. It's just that more complex the more you get into different things.
So when you're inspecting a new house, you can send it to the assessor's office to make sure they get it assessed.
There, yes.
Oh, sorry. I'd
So
like to
I
see
just-
us move forward with it. I mean, I think, I think the savings and efficiency outweigh the cost. But I'm just one, so.
I would like to do this regardless of the CARES funding. Like I said, it was presented to us as this progressed, that you could use the CARES funding for it. If that works, great. If it doesn't, so be it. I would still like to proceed with it. It is not in our budget that we presented to the auditor for next year. So if we were gonna implement it this year without CARES, we'd have to make a change. Well, I guess we have to make a change to our budget anyway, but it's something we'd have to discuss.
Well, you really need to show that it is gonna keep our people from congregating, if they can just go out, and not have to mix with everybody else. There's a little safety factor.
It'll definitely help with that. So,
I'm fine with running it through BKD and then we can
Yeah,
go from there.
go from there. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
And then the other one we had to talk about was, we kind of tasked Brian with figuring out a better solution for remote meetings. So some kind of system to put in here to make these kinds of virtual meetings a little bit easier to deal with, and the possibility of maybe this same kind of system in other locations, so like health department or EMS, that they could use the same type of system as well. So it may be that we're purchasing more than one, video conferencing system.
Yeah, so I actually had a presentation or a demonstration with this software from remotely from the company in Colorado. And it sounds like and it looks like it fits the requirements of having the remote training and the video conferencing. And kind of like the cut down version of it is that, a camera is put at one end of the room and it literally sees the entire room. And then we put 2 speakers in this particular space, and then it picks up, it is amazing what it picks up. I mean, it picks up like all conversations and everything. So it's a highly useful, interactive, and I would think that this is like the perfect space for it, but you can add multiple microphones to it in order to, if you have a larger area, things like that. So I think I would have to add a PC to it, and we'd have to do just a little bit of cabling, but pretty much turnkey, less than $4,000. Equipment itself, it's about $2,133. Besides and then I'd have to add the PC and the cabling. So
I think that's gonna be something we're gonna see for a long time to come. Does that mean Chris or Jeff can't cuss then?
I'm sure there probably is like a parental control.
Okay.
You're not gonna stop me. You can't stop me.
That'd be for like PC, camera, and speakers, and would that be like for this room specific, or
Yeah.
is it more mobile, or is it for each
No,
room?
it's a fixed system.
Okay,
So we would install the camera with a ceiling adapter kit
right.
up above, and then the way I envision this room being is you would put the microphones one at each end of the room, and it literally would gather all the conversation in this room very easily. I mean, when they gave me the presentation, it was in a room much larger than this, and he was walking around, and we never failed to pick him up very clearly.
So how does it work with others remotely? I mean,
So
just through their PC, or, I mean, is it similar to the Zoom or the Teams, or?
okay, so I can't answer that. Yeah, because the way we presented it was I didn't look at that part of it, but I can tell you, like, whenever we're sitting in this room like what we're doing now, instead of having like a small USB camera sitting on a table and things like that, it is literally you turn it on and you're running. So
360 view
Yeah.
camera.
yeah. But no, I didn't test the remote module. He had me basically remote onto his system. So
So does it tie into the clerk's video of the meeting itself? Like, will it record the meeting that they post on the internet and things like that as well?
I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know that.
So it seems to me like, if you're having a conference, the conference is only good as all the parties on each end.
Right.
So if we have great abilities here, but nobody else has those abilities, I mean, is it a moot point?
Right.
So,
I
I
can
mean,
check it.
they could hear us great, but if we can't hear them, I mean, that's kind of a problem.
Yeah, I can check that out.
And then were you thinking of having these at other facilities as well? or-
Yeah, so I'd like to take credit for this, but actually, yeah. Now that's not working out so well, I don't have a problem giving it up. Actually, Mac at EMS, he did the legwork on this, and so I asked him if I could just piggyback onto his idea, and he said absolutely, so,
Okay.
yeah.
But so EMS would want one and maybe over at the
Health
law
department.
enforcement center or?
Actually, the sheriff had his own ideas on that, so,
No,
yeah.
we don't want it. Not through, I mean, that's something we might try to do in our regular budget, but I don't think it raises to the merit of asking for the CARES money for us.
Okay.
But
So health department probably,
Department,
because
EMS, yeah, they're looking
yeah.
at solutions like this as well, so,
yeah.
So it'd be 4,000 times 3?
pretty much, yeah. That's with the PC.
Yeah, I was gonna say, including all the other
Yeah,
equipment, right?
right.
Good.
I don't have a problem applying for it, but I would like to know about the other end of it.
You can do that.
So,
Well, I think a lot of it depends on the side that's transmitting, so you can call in. I've got like 5 different Zoom, all these other meetings and stuff, and it kind of depends on what you have at the point where the meeting's being held. So
Yep.
okay.
they've all had their ups and downs. I mean, the biggest thing you want to be able to do is to mute the other parties.
Right.
So you don't have to listen to them eat their chips.
Well, and I think maybe the question about the videos posting on our website, because I think they're having a hard time hearing as well. So if that fixes that issue, that may be a good
Good thing.
solution as well.
Okay. I've got it down.
Okay,
Okay. All right.
go for
Good.
it.
Thanks.
Okay.
What we got?
Okay, Julie and Leanne, I think you're up.
We got this.
All right.
Okay, I was waiting for you to take charge. Let's go.
And I can,
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, Kristen, you want to turn one of them speakers?
All right, well then, so we're going to start with the agenda. And just to kind of start first, hear from Teresa on reporting. I know we got our first round in, thanks to Kristen and Debbie and all of the folks there at Cole County. So Teresa, you want to give an update on kind of where we are for the October deadline?
Sure. So yeah, Christy and Debbie did a great job getting us the stuff for the reporting for the first quarter. We got that all submitted before the 9:30 deadline. For the July through September expenses, Kristen has sent me the reports and the invoices, so we are going to go through those today to do our review over those. And we should have something to present on Thursday for reporting for 10/12 is the extended deadline that we've gotten. So the deadlines have been updated on the agenda for reporting. They are requiring monthly reporting now instead of quarterly. So we'll have this every month, and it is a very quick turnaround on most months. You can see the December one is a 1/6 deadline right now, which I think is a little bit crazy, but we'll see what happens going forward if that one gets extended as well. And we are able to get extensions on some of these, so hopefully if we are running into issues where we're just not going to be able to get it done by those very quick turnarounds, we can absolutely request extensions on those. Just can't rely on that to happen either. So, but I think we're in good shape to be able to present it to you on Thursday. And yeah, thanks to Kristen for getting that stuff to us yesterday.
Great. Thank you.
All right, so then what we wanted to do is we're going to kind of talk big picture. One of the documents that you have is all of the detail of all the funding by different categories, but what we've done is just summarize that on this agenda. So currently where we are before, oh, you're so good. Yeah, where we are before going through the funding recommendations is we currently have $7.9 million remaining. We'll go through the 400,000 in funding recommendations. We'll talk through that, which will then lead us into the phase 3 funding priorities. And again, these are all just kind of food for thought points, kind of jumping off points. But this would be our recommendation, but again, obviously it's totally up to you all. So we would recommend phase 3 be $4 million, which includes rolling in any applications that were either incomplete or they did not send in, the receipts they haven't yet purchased, as long as it was eligible. We have roughly 3.4 million. I think that's definitely on the high side. And again, we'll know more after the conversation on Thursday with the folks that are presenting on the testing. That $4 million would break down by $1 million to the schools. Again, keeping consistent on student enrollment. We did not break down between private and public because of some of the private schools had withdrawn their request, but we have $1 million there. For the medical centers, nursing homes, COVID testing and tracing, we have $1.5 million. For cities, we would have $1 million. We would essentially keep the nonprofit level the same. We've not yet seen, the need, and kind of we're determining the need based on the applications we've gotten. So again, you can probably debate that somewhat, but we kept nonprofits at the 300,000 with the limitations of 25,000. Small business, again, the same criteria, 200,000 with a max of 5,000 for organization, and only for those businesses that have not received COVID funding, which then leaves about $1.7 million for the internal county spending, which could either be on initiatives that you all want to fund, or we've also seen some counties and cities and states start looking at that public health and public safety presumption, where they can have payroll covered for certain categories of employees, which would probably you'd be able to recoup quite a bit of money there, which would then open up funds in your general fund, if that makes sense. And then we still currently have the contingency of 1.8 million. So that kind of all lines out into that 7.9 million. And we can get more into the details after you see all of the applications and all of the requests that we have, but just kind of put that in the back of your mind as some potential phase 3 categories that we can have. The past funding methodology is just for reference there that we've used in the past.
Julie, have we gotten documentation from the diocese schools for sure that they're not accepting funding directly to them? I know we had talked about the possibility of reallocating some of their funding to the contact tracing that we're going to the schools. Have we gotten direct confirmation from them that they are not accepting that funding?
Not that I'm aware of. The communications that I'm aware of have come directly from the schools, and they have referenced the diocese, but I have not seen anything coming directly from the diocese.
Okay.
No, I have not seen anything from the diocese directly.
And then those subrecipient agreements that got sent out to the ones that were already approved, they have not signed those, correct?
That's correct. I've sent you what we've received so far, and I don't think any of those came from any of the Catholic schools. I think we had one or two from other private schools, but not the Catholic schools.
Okay.
And you have those listed in this application, or in this summary, Leanne?
She's talking about the ones that have already been granted and have returned their subrecipient agreements.
So that's not in your, like, items withdrawn?
No,
Okay.
because they've
All right.
not been officially withdrawn.
I see. Well, let's maybe, if that would help to walk through the pending applications and kind of all the different categories of applications, and then we go from there.
All right.
Kristen, do you have any other questions before we go into that, or the
I don't.
commissioners have any questions before that?
I don't. Do you guys?
No.
No, we're ready.
Okay. So we've added a couple of columns to the spreadsheet. On the left side, you'll see the scores that have been assigned based on our scoring tool that we developed back in the beginning. And you'll see on the right side the amount that's been requested, the amount that we've determined is eligible for payment through the CARES Act. And then the next column is where we've received incomplete documentation or no documentation. Some of those are potentially eligible as we receive complete documentation. Some of them are potentially eligible based on the description provided in the application itself. But it's difficult for us to make a determination on any of those at this point without having more information. So we just put that there to kind of let you know what we think might be potentially eligible at a future date. So the first, and then so how we've grouped these this time is by the type of organization. So the first group, Group A, are municipalities, and we have one item that we're recommending today for $3,181, and that is for window intercoms, just to help maintain a physical barrier with social distancing. And then you'll see several things in the incomplete column throughout that category. Most of those are items that had not been previously purchased.
So are all these items that we're approving, but they have not purchased yet, correct?
Right now, based on the phase 1 and phase 2 requirements that we're doing as reimbursement only, the ones that we're recommending as eligible are under phase 2, and those have full documentation. So they are reimbursement only. We've received invoices, proof of payment, receipts, in order to be able to recommend those.
So the only ones they're doing right now are the ones that have purchased and have provided all the documentation.
So the window.
If you want to talk about the other
Right.
ones in phase 3,
So
we can.
there's receipts and they're asking for reimbursement for
Yes,
this item.
so in the eligible costs column are the ones she wants to go through first.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay?
Yep.
Any questions before we move on to section B?
Do you guys want to approve that one, or you want to?
Are you guys good with that, or you wanna wait till the
Yeah,
end, or?
I'm good with, yeah.
Go for it if you wanna get it out of the way.
Okay, I move that we approve A-01512.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
All right. So the next section B are the public schools, and we have 4 items here. This particular school has requested 5 items. The 5th item, which is the Chromebooks, we're waiting on the receipt because they've ordered them. They have the invoice, but they haven't paid for them yet. And the reason the 26,000 number is reduced to 18 is because that's the amount that would max them out. If you recall where we set a max for each school based on enrollment. So we fully think that will be eligible once they have paid it later on this month. But we wanted to go ahead and get these other items on here that are eligible now. So that is the iReady license for grades K through 6. That is for their curriculum for their online learning. The hotspots for students who do not have rural broadband. That is a 50% match, so they are matching that 50% with other funds. This 8618 represents the other 50%. 95 infrared thermometers and some sanitizing equipment. So that total for the one school is $43,184. And then you'll see some other things in the potentially eligible column, and those are items where we have requested documentation and have not received it yet. Any questions there on public schools?
I don't think so.
I'm good with that.
So do we
All right.
to approve these right away then too while we're going down, or?
Yeah, so if you wanna,
Okay.
So,
I noticed on one of them you had an asterisk by at the end if there's a conflict. So where does the asterisk show up at if there is a conflict? In front of the
You'll
number?
see one in section E, just in front of the description,
Gotcha. I'll see several of them.
and then
Okay.
some in F that we talked about previously.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I'm gonna try to do these all together. Move that we approve B-02-01 for iReady licenses, for hotspots, for infrared thermometers, and for sanitizing equipment.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right. The next section would normally be C. We did not have any requests outstanding for any private schools. I think the private schools, like we mentioned before, are probably pretty much wrapped up, but of course it's still open for them to apply if they need to. So the next section we have is D. Those are the internal county expenses. The first one we have here is $285,000 for grant management services. That was for a contract previously approved, and we are just formalizing, bringing it forward for funding through the CARES Act.
it's actually BKD's contract
Right,
that you guys
right,
approved up
yep.
front,
Yeah.
so.
Oh, I
it-
don't think we need to pay that.
It does not have an application, it was approved beforehand, but for reporting purposes, we wanted it to come through you guys
Right.
again to get that approval.
And then the next item is a sanitizer sprayer. That was the one that we brought before you last week, and there was some concern that it might be a duplicate, but it is not. We were able to confirm that, and so we're bringing that back for funding. Now, this next item is contract tracing that we've talked about on behalf of the schools. This is really just a placeholder on here for now. I know Kristen's been working on trying to develop an estimate for that. So right now, we just have it on the list, so it doesn't fall off our radar. But that is something we will want to fund later on, based on what you all decided at one of the previous meetings with some of the school representatives.
So we're just gonna approve that later when we get a rough estimate.
Yeah, and as I alluded to earlier, it's kind of that movement of funding from some of those
Right.
private schools as well that we need to figure out. So we're working on that one.
Okay. All right, you guys good with the other two?
Yeah.
I move that we approve D-10-05 and D-01874.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, section E is for medical and healthcare providers. All of the ones that we have listed here as eligible that total to $23,968, these are all with one organization. The grant number is E-02. So we have, well, I'll say in all of the cases where the eligible cost is different from the requested amount, has to do with either sales tax that we are not reimbursing, or it's for annual subscriptions that we've had to prorate so that the timing does not extend past December 30th. So we have facility upgrades for technology and for telehealth, restricted access and distancing. This is because the people who previously would come to the facility, they are now serving through telehealth at home, or they were at the time of the shutdown. Improved firewall due to increased internet program through telehealth. 15 Chromebooks and other accessories for the clients to use for telehealth. This included headsets and mouse and computers. The online programming and curriculum for telehealth use. You will see there's an additional $200 in the incomplete column. That was for one particular expense where they did not have a receipt. So if we were to choose to accept things without receipt in the future, that could be eligible. HIPAA compliant encrypted email services and Dropbox subscription. 5 months of a Zoom subscription. Additional janitorial services for deep cleaning during May through July. That was as they were bringing clients back. Touchless hand washing and other cleaning supplies, and the normal types of PPE. The next items we have there are pretty much related to COVID testing services, and these are entities that I believe have been invited to come on Thursday, like we talked about last week. Last week we talked about 3 different entities. There has been one additional entity that has applied since then for funding related to COVID testing. So we've included all of those in the incomplete column.
And those are the only ones I have a conflict with, right? Is
The one with the star
Yeah,
does
yeah, with the
represent a
asterisk, yeah,
conflict
okay.
with Mr. Bushman.
Yep. Yep.
So all 4 of those people have said that they will be here Thursday to discuss those.
Okay.
You guys good with those other expenses?
Mhm.
Yes.
I move that we approve E-02.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Leanne, do they need to reference a total dollar amount? Because was there a portion of E-02 that did not get approved? I think it's down in the ineligible.
Yeah, just that $200, but what we're recommending is the $23,968.
Right, but is there another portion to E-02 that's down in the ineligible requests?
Yeah, they requested some lost revenue that we did not
Oh.
consider.
So do you want to
Yeah.
reference the total dollar amount in your motion?
Right. I see. Be nice if these would have a sub number or something so we could
What's it-
reference.
That 23,960.
23.
Well, I get that, but I
Yeah.
mean, for each one, I mean, obviously they're probably all submitted together, but, okay. So I'll amend the motion to approve E-02 at a maximum of $23,968.
Second the amendment.
All in favor?
Aye.
And going forward, we can add that, a sub number there, to your point. I think that's a good idea. So we'll add that so that it's clear what you're approving.
Thank you.
Okay, the next section, section F, these are from nonprofit organizations. The first items labeled as F06 are from a single organization totaling $4,345. These are for digital temperature system, PPE, additional cleaning services, some construction adaptations to create physical barriers, and an upgrade to their video surveillance system to assist with contract tracing. And this particular nonprofit actually had some positive cases of COVID, so just wanted to point that out.
Leanne, on the upgrade,
The upgrade, yes, the upgrade to the video surveillance, we did not have receipts for that. So if they're able to produce receipts, or if the commission decides to accept things, carry over into phase 3 without receipts, those are potentially eligible.
I think we
But right
probably
now, what
need
we're putting
receipts
forward-
though, because if they come back, if we're audited later,
It's an Amber Alert.
damn. I think if
Okay.
we're audited later, if we don't have receipts, I'd like to have a receipt for everything we approve.
Right, so I think the discussion earlier was the possibility of approving the application before they actually paid for things, but I think we still wanted receipts
Yes.
before we actually
Yeah.
paid for them, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're not actually recommending the video surveillance at this time. I'm sorry, I was reading those down before looking at the number on the right, but it's those first 4 items that we are recommending with the subtotal of $4,345. Any other discussion on that particular one, or I'll move on down? The next item is F00-169. Those are 3 items that we have brought before you previously. We do have one conflict with Mr. Shepperly. Those items have remained on the list for your consideration. And the final one we have for recommendation in this category is for grants to other nonprofit or entities for COVID-related expenses. So this is a nonprofit organization that provides grants to other nonprofit organizations. They've requested that in the amount of $27,201. Even though that exceeds the $25,000 maximum that the commission had set for nonprofit organizations, we went ahead and kept it on here at the full amount requested. because it is eligible and because it's going to multiple organizations. But you can certainly decide if you want to maintain a $25,000 maximum or approve the full request.
So Leanne, those are grants that were previously given out, so they've provided you with receipts for those purchases?
Correct.
Okay.
So then did you all go through each one of those recipients and make sure that they had not received other funding or COVID money, or to verify that, or who follows up on that, or how do we verify that?
No, that has not been a requirement for the nonprofit organizations. That's been a requirement for small businesses, but we still ask the same questions. This organization will be responsible for, or has already been responsible for, determining that those grants to the other organizations are legitimately for COVID-related expenses.
And one of the guidance, the federal guidance, is that essentially the nonprofit that's receiving the $27,000 is the subrecipient who is making the certification. And so the county, other than the due diligence that we're making through the application process and the subrecipient agreements, you may ask for additional information through the subrecipient. And so you're not required to go down more than one level. You certainly can ask for additional information, but you as the county are not required to.
Okay. I think I'm fine with doing it, going over the 25, since it's
Yeah.
for several different ones that are being handed out. Either that, or do they apply, you make them apply a couple different times, and it's just gonna make more work for everybody.
I'm just kind of reviewing some of the others that you're saying as incomplete, potentially eligible. I mean, those, once someone is assigned a number, do they keep that number, or is each request assigned a number?
The number is the application number when they submit their request. And the reason you'll see some of these with multiple numbers, not multiple items with the same number, is just because we've broken those out into some subcategories to make it easier for you if you would like to do partial of them. We just want to give you more detail of what's in the application.
Every application has a separate number, so if the same entity has multiple applications, they'll have a different number.
So if one entity exceeds that 25,000, then they won't be eligible for another award, or?
Correct.
I'm good with those that they're asking for. I mean, obviously I can't vote on
Yeah,
the
you-
one. That'd be Salute, I think. But if you guys are good, I can make a motion on the first one here. Okay with that?
Yeah,
I move that we approve SF-06 for $4,345.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye. And the
Uh,
next one is 1,031 for F-00169.
All right, make a motion, we approve F-00169 for a total of $1,031.
Second.
Call the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay.
And then I move that we approve try to get to the right number here. F-01812 for $27,201.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, thank you. The next section, Section G, is for small businesses. The first application, G00417, this is for a specialty retail business. They're asking for rent and utilities during the mandatory shutdown. They are also asking for reimbursement of some custom order inventory items that they purchased based on custom orders, but then the customers did not claim them due to the pandemic. And this was for like special events that were canceled during the time of shutdown and even beyond that. We still have 1,658 in the potentially eligible category. Their request was for $5,000, which is currently our maximum for small businesses. And the rent and utilities portion that we're recommending is based on actual costs just during the mandatory shutdown. We are further exploring whether we can extend that beyond the mandatory shutdown, because certainly for several months they did not have much in the way of foot traffic in their store. Is there anything more you want to say about that, Teresa? Teresa's been researching that issue.
Yeah. No, we're still looking into that, if that can be an option for some of these small businesses, that it's we can look at expenses beyond what the required, because the guidance says it's for business expenses during required closures, but there are some exceptions to those rules like Julie was talking about earlier, so we're seeing if some of those exceptions can be applied to these small businesses.
The remaining items on this list are in the incomplete column, and that's where we have requested additional information from the applicants. But for now, what we're recommending is $3,342 for this one particular small business.
And they did not get a PPP loan or?
No, they did not.
Okay.
So on the custom order inventory, did they have to destroy the stuff, or what did they do with it?
They still have the inventory, but they certainly won't be able to get full retail price for those items. They may be able to resell them, but because they are custom order, it's, they may get a little out of that. But this is just their cost for purchasing those items. I would say more, but I think it would reveal I think it might reveal who the applicant is. But I can be more specific if you want me to.
It doesn't have to be specific. I'm just wondering if they do sell it and they get something out of it, then they do recover some of the cost. If they try to sell it.
I think it's questionable whether they will be able to resell those items.
If it'd be a trophy or something with.
It's sizing. It's a special occasion store, and these are clothing items that are specific to size and style.
So I've just got, still got reservations on whether I want to pay for rent or utilities. And then, if I was gonna order something special, I'd get the money up front.
certainly within y'all's purview, if you determine either you want to put them on hold, you want to, not fund them, that's certainly within your discretion.
Right now, this is the only small business item we have to put forward. If you want to skip down to the next couple of categories, you'll see that most of our small business requests have received other COVID-related funding. So that next section with several items, those businesses have received PPP loans. So for now, we are not putting any of those forward based on the commission's wish to not fund items or not fund businesses that received other COVID funding. And then the following category of items ineligible based on phase 2 guidelines, that consists of a variety of organizations that have either requested lost revenue or unemployment costs, with most of those being businesses. 55,000 of that is for small businesses that we're not putting forward at this time. And then one item by a private school where they were looking for reimbursement. But for the private schools, we've only been funding those internally where the county purchases on their behalf. So you'll see there's not been a lot, despite the number of applications for small businesses, which is also a small number of applicants. There's just the one that we're able to put forward at this time.
Yeah, going back to 417, they had requested 3,458, and then you're doing 1,800. So is that more just the rent, or?
That was for rent for the month that was not under the required closure. So they requested, I believe, 2 months of rent. So part of that is rent, and then they also requested some utility bills, but they did not provide the bills. They just provided their payment of those bills. So that's why those are in that other column.
So I think you've got a lot of small businesses that are not only paying rent, they're paying back business loans, they're paying, I don't really have any problem with paying the rent. Again, being a landlord, if my tenants don't pay my rent, my stuff's paid for, but it's still,
And we could specify it to where it would be, we wouldn't have to look at that other guidance where it would be just rent for that month that was during the required closure too, if you wanted to make that decision as well. So
I think we'll have business, they will have the rent, they will have business loans, they will have, so to me, that's overhead. I mean, you're not getting anything in to pay the rent.
So what's the maximum on this? 5,000?
5,000.
So number 308 there, the payroll of 25,000, you got incomplete, potentially eligible. Is that just because of other items with that, or?
That's where we are waiting for more information from the applicant.
But yeah, they would be maxed out at the 5,000.
Yeah.
Mm. The contact tracing and PPE
It's all the same
would be,
applicant.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we should have shown that as a 5,000 in that column, if that's the maximum that we're paying to a small business.
it's just hard for me to deviate. I mean, obviously rent is owed, but, you know, trying to retain employees, you know, payroll. So, you know, obviously you're shut down, you know, what's the most important thing is it your people, or is it your rent, or, you know, obviously everybody was going through that as well too, so. And there's not a lot of applicants here, but we still got phase 3 that'll remain open, and we'll have 200,000 or whatever is what we've allotted, so.
Are there any other questions that I can answer, or I can move on down if you want to keep picking on that one?
Move on down, fine with me right now.
Okay, so I have kind of skipped ahead to those next 2 categories. The final category represents requests that have been withdrawn. So these are things where the applicant withdrew the request before we even brought it to you. That totals $48,000. So these are things we've looked at, we have touched, but then the applicant withdrew the request. So the subtotal that we're putting forward today is $392,132. The potentially incomplete, or the incomplete but potentially eligible, which could possibly be brought to you during phase 3. The maximum that we are estimating on that would be about 3.4 million. And that number will make more sense as we talk about future potential allocations that Julie alluded to earlier in the meeting. But if the commissioner were, if the commission were to approve the full 392, it would leave us with a balance of $7,528,411.
So going back to the small business, we have 250,000 in it, right?
200. 200.
200, okay. So 200 in it, and the closing date was September 30th, right?
For phase 2, yes.
Okay. But we still have a lot of them out there with some that are incomplete, potentially eligible, that we need to sort through, and then.
Well, so really there you have the remainder of that person's 5,000, and then you have another application that's 2 applications that could be a possible 5,000. So their 41 there includes way more than they have the eligibility for.
Correct.
Mhm.
But then you have that other section down below it that are people that received other funding that right now we're eliminating from the process.
Okay.
So you could open that up and say that they can apply even though they've received other COVID funding, or you can leave it restricted the way you currently have it.
I'm just trying to get, I guess, some guidance, and, I mean, we each have our own priorities on these with the businesses and stuff, and the main thing is, you know, same with the schools, is keeping them open.
Now, our recommendation that any applications that, for whatever reason, you know, we're able to provide receipts, either they haven't purchased it, that we still continue to only fund reimbursements and not, you know, we wouldn't do any kind of an advance payment, but that any of these applications, that those just get rolled into phase 3, where we continue to either gather additional information, we still, you know, ask them to go ahead and make that purchase. But the one thing that we can do is, based on the information we have, we can make the recommendation to the commission that they would be eligible. So that would be what we would do with phase 3.
So do we foresee people that maybe were applying for other funding that got denied coming into phase 3 and having a whole bunch of other people applying?
I think I mean, we can go back and just confirm. Leanne, you may have another thought, but my recollection is we pretty much tried to get as much information as we could, and then we either tabled it because we didn't have the receipts, but I don't think we denied anybody.
I'm not even talking about our county funding. I'm talking about if they requested state or federal funding and they got denied there. Now maybe they're gonna come in and try to get into phase 3. Are we gonna have a overly large amount come in, and or do you have any idea on that?
Yeah, I'm really not sure what's available for other small business funding right now. I don't know if you are, Julie.
No, I mean, the only thing would be if, if the stimulus were passed and there was some additional money that opened up, but I can't think of anything through the state directly. If they would have been denied, it would be hard for me to see how they would even here.
Well, we had gotten an email, I think there were some SBA loans, but I think those were loans, not grants.
Correct.
And so there were some Cole County businesses that the money ran out before they were able to receive it. But, a loan and a grant are different, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible if there was something that was eligible, the money was just not available, that could be a scenario.
It was a business grant. Was that the email I sent to you?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was referring to, the one
Yeah.
you forwarded to us.
Through DED, or DED had asked us to forward it, but,
I mean, the nice thing about, I think you all have been very prudent in your approach in that, two things, as we think through trying to get all the money spent by December 30th, you do have the option of the contingency that's still there, the $1.8 million. And even opening up phase 3, if for some reason, let's say there's a flood of applications, as you work through that by us kind of going through this monthly approach, you can always open up additional lines, just saying, the need is there, you've seen the need, and for whatever reason, if you got a flood of applications in that you wanted to go ahead and fund based on, the pandemic worsening or something, that would certainly be an option. But I don't think you would be at risk necessarily of overfunding too quickly at this point. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and there's not that much requested in the small business at this point anyway.
I will say that the questions that you're asking about the inventory are completely legitimate. We certainly ask those questions as well. So just so that you don't think we're pushing things through without asking hard questions, we definitely are asking the same types of questions.
Okay, thanks.
yeah, it had 5,000 max, excluding the ones that aren't eligible. You're looking at total, about $31,000 if you did 5,000 max per applicant. Just scratching through some of those items out to the right. Like the 25 and the 13.5, they'd only get 5.
Yeah, I don't really have any problem with the rent, the $1,800 rent. I think that's really legitimate.
Where are we at, just on those two?
Yeah, do you wanna approve?
I don't know, do you want to wait on it? Or you-
Yeah, I just,
I mean, these are real cost reimbursed. It's not potential lost revenue or salaries. So, I don't know. Thought about it that way or?
right.
Almost done.
Can I talk to you guys about the switches that went out last night? In meeting?
Yeah, when we get done here.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm just unsure on rent at this point, but anyway, if you guys want to improve it, go ahead.
Let's just push it off to the next meeting and kick it around.
So those two are still on hold?
Yeah, I'll just put them on hold for
Yeah.
now.
All right, then we'll go ahead and table those for the next meeting.
Okay.
So that's everything. Is there any other questions on the applications before we kind of go back to the agenda and talk through phase 3 and how we want to move forward there?
Ready.
Yep.
Go for it.
Okay, so as we mentioned, our recommendation would be to move forward any potential applications to roll them into phase 3. That phase 3 would be, this is not written, but I think this was what we talked about last week, is phase 3 they could make an application without the receipts. However, they would have to provide proof of payment and receipts before being reimbursed. So that would be the difference in phase 3. And then we would roll in to that $4 million, any potential applications. We feel like that's on the high side because really if you look at the large quantity of that is related to the contact tracing and testing that will be presented on Thursday. So while you might select all 4 of those applicants, that might be unlikely, but so we feel like that's a little bit of a high number on the 3.4. But we did kind of still allocate, just thinking through the need based on the applications we received, that we continue the schools there, you see, at the $1 million, as we talked about. Testing and tracing, any medical centers, nursing homes, the $1.5 million, continuing to offer $1 million with, based on the census population for the cities. Continuing forward with the nonprofits, the maximum of 25,000, and then small businesses, the 200,000, with the same criteria as we've had in phase 2. Continuing to look at any internal needs that would still allow about $1.7 million there, And then again, continuing to allow for that contingency of $1.8 million. So you could certainly shift more of the contingency into phase 3 if you wanted. Or, see what internal costs you have. You're still at a really good ratio and looking, kind of comparing to your peers of what's being spent in the community versus with internal department needs. So that's certainly, what we see is anywhere from 50-50 split to 60-40. And again, when you really compare the fact that all of the needs of the county are for the constituents, you're in good shape there. Any questions or anything kind of jump out to you that may not look reasonable for you guys?
No, I'm good with that. I want to leave contingency alone, just my personal preference.
Okay.
Yeah, we just don't know what lays ahead.
Exactly.
So I think I've got an old sheet that has our funding allocation for each of them, because I had 250 on the small businesses and stuff. Can we get a revised?
It's on here. Jeff, it's listed out here now.
Okay. Thank you. Just need to know where to look. Appreciate it. My filing is not so good. It's everything's under miscellaneous or other. It's an M or an O.
Keep up with.
We're good.
So will we get a new sheet, if we approve all this, your recommendations, will we get a new sheet that kind of just rolls everything into phase 3 funding?
Yes, we can absolutely do that.
And do we think that some of our internal needs, do we think that we're gonna spend those or still unsure? And I know you were gonna work on a estimate on contact tracing.
I was gonna say, I think that's the big question mark at the moment, is what that piece looks like and where that funding's coming from. I have not heard a lot of internal requests still, but that does not mean that they're not coming to me. I mean, you guys probably know as well as I do if there's internal requests that people have talked to you about.
I think we got hit from the start of it, the worst. And then if we have the worst yet to come, then.
I would say that most of our purchases out of those emergency accounts have really fallen off. I mean, we're seeing a few things here and there, but I think that part of it's going to fall off because we're going through this application and presenting that to BKD, and it's coming directly out of the CARES funding. So if you...
Well, just look at the internal, and we had 3.6 million started, and we still got 2.6 million there, and.
The only thing that I see on the horizon is I know EMS had quite a few orders for PPE that are just now getting filled, so we're just now getting charged for. So we're seeing those invoices come in, and some of those are fairly large. I want to say we had 10,000 in the last run of bills for just PPE that's come in now.
And where's that coming out of? Is that?
Right now, it's just coming out of our emergency line. So you will see some of that funding roll through, kind of like you saw the March through June amounts that got presented last week. We will see that come through each time.
So is that coming out of unallocated, or is it coming under EMS, or?
I would say depending on where it's coming from. So like the PPE is coming out of EMS.
Okay.
The PPE, we're gonna see that with our medical too, because it's kind of feast or famine. You get low, and then you'll get some in, and you're not guaranteed when you're gonna get that stuff.
Right.
So.
What's community use? See what we spent 36,000 there, but.
Well, so we kind of wanted to show that some of the items that we've purchased internally are, so like the contact tracers that are at the health department.
Okay.
They're to help the whole community, they're
Right.
not just a health department expense, so we kinda wanted to move that into a category that shows like some of those internal costs are things that are helping everyone, not just us internally.
Okay.
So like the fit testers that we bought, that the fire departments and stuff were using to fit test their N95s.
Right.
Those were community items that are being used by multiple agencies, not just us internally.
And then the unallocated that we have 2,050,000 in, is that just kind of a placeholder or?
Yeah, just kind of seeing where the needs are and where we need to move things around to. Again, I think those contact tracers in the school,
Right.
we would kind of fall into internal since they're our employees, but.
Sure.
So that piece is kind of a moving target of,
But if we don't foresee, more expenses coming out of unallocated or something,
Then
we need to move
we
some
need
of
to
that.
move, yes.
Yes. So. And possibly the same way with health too. I mean, it's balance of $315,000. They may have some more expense, but, are they gonna spend that?
So something else to keep in mind with health is we did say like their overtime and stuff, that piece is kind of, again, a moving target, so.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
So we got your email about this saliva-based testing. I didn't really understand that. Does that say that it is accurate or not accurate? They're allowing people to do it, but it's just kind of up to them?
I think we lost Julie. I'm trying to reconnect her.
She might have hung up on us. She got tired of waiting on us. So, I just don't remember who sent us that, but it was forwarded to us when we talked about it last week. It just intrigues me because it's so much easier, it's faster, and so, if it is accurate, it's something that I think we need to look at.
Leanne, that's Debbie. There's,
Leanne's still on there.
yeah, Leanne is, but I think Julie just is reconnecting with her iPhone.
Okay, here it is.
Julie, did we lose you?
Sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute.
I made it. Thank
I think
you.
Julie and I both had the same problem. Our office computers were set outside of our control for an auto update, so we both had to quickly switch to phone.
Julie, the question was about the saliva-based testing.
So I got the email
Yes.
that was forwarded to us. Does that mean that it's being accepted as accurate, or is it gonna be something that's?
Well, so, I mean, and based on the information that I have, I believe it's about 85% accurate. So, there's the balance of having it quicker, but the reliability is not quite, as strong. So, in some cases, what happens is, they do the first test and, if there's a positive, obviously, they can do the subsequent test. The risk is that you do the saliva test and it comes back negative and you just don't know. But, it is being more widely accepted, just because it's a faster result.
Well, I've heard of people that test positive and then they go with the other and then they test negative. So I don't, it's kind of like, okay, which do you believe?
Yeah, your risk, obviously your risk is higher with a false negative than a false positive because you're erring on the side of caution, I guess. But there was, and I haven't heard lately, I know there was quite a bit of a backlog for the testing, the nasal swabs. So, again, if you have an outbreak and you're really trying to to track it as quickly as you can, then the saliva test is gonna help with that. But if you have the ability to obtain and get the nasal swabs, then that's right now the standard.
Does that answer your question, Jeff?
Yeah, I don't think anybody knows
Yeah.
Yeah.
what to believe and what to
Unfortunately, I
trust.
believe that's the case.
So the email came across and I didn't know exactly what it meant that they are doing it in Sedgwick County.
Yeah, they are doing, we can put you in contact with their, yes, yeah.
I
And
mean,
we're
if that's
happy
not
to
gonna
set up a
change
call,
anything for us, then,
Well, I think that it's whether or not the state accepts that test as accurate or not, because in some circumstances, it sounds like they're gonna make you do the other test as well. So then are you just wasting
That's what I've heard, they're still
money
doing
and
both.
time? So I think that one's kind of
Yeah.
still,
I mean, 80% positive or accurate, that's a B. That's not bad. And I still don't trust that the other one's
Well,
100% accurate, so.
Yeah, I'm asking too, if you're sick and we go into the influenza and they test you first for the influenza and then you test negative for those, if they can test you for coronavirus at the same time, and I think that's what they're looking at, is where, you're sick, they just gotta figure out what's causing your illness.
Yeah.
But I think
I think they may be using it more as a screening, and then if they get a positive, follow it up with the nasal test, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
I'm just saying for, keeping schools open, keeping businesses open, if you think you've been exposed, you go take this test. You get the saliva-based test, it's quicker, and then you can get back to work if it comes back negative, and get back to school, stay in school, whatever, so. All right, well, let's keep an eye on it.
hey Leanne, one more question. Sub-recipient agreements for the ones that got approved this morning, will those be ready Thursday?
I'll try to send those to you today.
Okay. And we'll do it Thursday when we're here.
Okay,
Okay.
anything else?
Do you guys have any other questions for us?
And so are we ready to go ahead and publicize and move forward with phase 3 as we presented it?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I would just be clear, I guess, that we're not adding another, say, like for businesses, another 200,000, it's still 200,000 max between
Correct.
phase 2 and phase 3, or all of it together, so I don't know if anybody would
Yeah.
misinterpret that or not, but, okay,
That's good. Thank you all.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you Thursday.
Bye-bye.
We're going to end. Is Debbie trying to talk to us?
Hi, Debbie.
Tequila,
Hold on.
think
See if we
tequila.
can Unmute her.
Are they on beach somewhere, or where
They're in San Antonio.
wearing their mask on the beach?
It's happy hour
I
somewhere.
don't think there's any beach in San Antonio.
Oh, on the river.
Yeah,
Debbie, are you there?
I am. Good to see you guys.
You're such a liar. How come you don't have your picture up there? Let us see your picture with a
nice.
drink in your hand.
I don't know how to show you my picture.
All right, we'll get back to vacation.
Thanks.
See you later.
Bye.
See you, Debbie.
See ya.
Is Brian still out there?
yeah, we got old business. Where's Brian?
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Oh, great one. We are not worthy.
So, last night we had just a little bit of an outage when it comes to the network. We had 2 of our main core switches, one went down. And so the recommendation is to replace it, but instead of just getting one, I want to get 2 because I want to have backups for those. So I need to go ahead and get those on order sooner rather than later, because right now we're running on one of our older switches just to kind of keep things running until we get those in. I don't even have a quote yet as far as what they're going to cost, but I'm estimating between $10,000 and $15,000 estimating.
Each,
No.
total? A month?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, just one time.
Yeah, well, see, Brent's email said we'd be back up by 7 PM, and we weren't.
Well, he's a glass half full guy. So,
Depends on what's in it.
You know, the thing is about a glass half full, you can always refill it.
that's right.
Well, if it's empty, you can refill it too.
Yeah,
So anyway, I would ask that I would be allowed to get that rolling as an emergency purchase.
yes,
Okay.
Yep, good.
yep.
Thank you.
Yep, run.
Anything else?
Good or new business,
Uh-huh. Or old business.
old business? I'll
Yeah.
wait till new business. Well, I'm just saying, I don't know what the protocol is.
I'm thinking we skip new business and we keep going.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to buy,
New business.
an SUV, because they totaled one of the SUVs because of hail damage. So I can't afford to go without it, so we're gonna go ahead and go get, it's about $20,000, and it's gonna be another $5,000 to outfit it. I don't know how much, I hope $5,000 to strip the other one and build this one. We're getting the same year, so everything should fit, so I don't have to buy anything new, but I'm gonna go ahead and press on with the purchase, and then I'll send you guys an email on it, because we're gonna have to move the money from contingency over to automobile, because I just don't have it.
The insurance.
The insurance?
Uh-huh.
Well, here's the problem. I don't know. So I don't know how much they're gonna give us. Probably like $10,000 for that car. because,
Right,
you know,
so
they-
move the difference between what the insurance gives you and,
But we won't know that for probably another month.
Right.
I'm not gonna wait a month to buy the car. So I'm okay with doing that, but I'm still gonna have to write a PO from something.
Yes.
So,
I think it's still insurance though, cause we're tracking the ones the insurance
So
purchases
do you-
different from your capital purchase.
So you want me to move the I'll move up to make sure I have $26,000 in there.
Yeah.
And then, and if there's any money left over, I guess, from contingency, you want us to move it back then? or-
Well, at the end of the year, it'll roll back into your
Oh, that's
contingency.
right, okay, yeah, I knew that, I was testing. That's the only thing I want to tell you.
Okay.
That car is dropping left and right because of hail.
We haven't had hail in months.
I know, well, they looked at them, said we can fix them, and then we take them into the shop, and they're like, nope, you can't fix them. So, but anyway, I wish it was one of the older vehicles, but no, what do you want to do? All right, thank you.
Run.
All right, thanks.
Anything else? What-
Are you guys good with paying my Zoom fees? I had to upgrade our Zoom to get it to go longer than 40 minutes. So I did find a promo code, so I got half off.
So you have to pay the Zoom fee to host
I do.
the meeting.
So the basic will
Yeah.
give you like a 40-minute interaction, but since our meetings are going longer
Yeah.
than that, I had to upgrade to like a premium or business.
Is that what we're gonna use Friday?
So much a month or what?
It was a year, so it was $149.90 for the year, but I found a half off promo code, so I paid $74.95 for the year.
Okay. Good, paying it.
Yeah. Is that what we're gonna use Friday?
Yeah, I think the chamber is Zoom.
Yeah.
They'll initiate it though.
Yeah.
They'll initiate it though, not me. I haven't seen anything from him. Has he
I haven't,
been-
well, they've been shut down with COVID, so
I was kind of
we'll see
hoping-
what Jeff's meeting comes,
I was kind
see
of
what
hoping
they
they were
come
gonna
up
cancel
with.
Friday coffee.
Have you gotten,
I had some kind of invite. They always say Zoom on them, but I figured I could still go to the meeting.
I haven't gotten anything from Sean either, so.
So, while we're talking about the chamber, I saw the article in the paper about the new economic development. Do you guys have any ideas what next year looks like as far as the budget? Do I need to change things around with economic development? Have they asked
Well, I don't
you?
think there's been
Have
a
they-
request.
I don't think,
Okay,
Don't have any kind of formal request. I know they're kicking around right now trying to figure out their budget and
okay,
trying to figure out their
So that one's kind of-
structure, trying to figure out. I think they have their mission statement set though, and maybe the name.
so just if you could keep me in the loop if you know, so that I can adjust the budget if needed.
Okay, so yes, it is Zoom only. Glad you told me. I'd be in there knocking on the door. otherwise.
Yeah, no,
I have not gotten that invite.
I haven't either. We'll figure out what we're
Okay.
doing.
Well, I get the invite to the meeting, I accept the meeting, I don't go and read the note that due to the pandemic, the chamber office is closed temporarily, so.
I think
Glad
half
you
their
mentioned
staff,
something.
I think half their staff tested positive or has it or something, so. You'd
So
go
how-
down there
that's a
just to
pretty
get
big
exposed,
building.
I
How do
know
you-
you.
How do you not social distance there? You have 6 people there, big building like that.
Anything else?
I don't have anything.
I move we stand in recess till 4:30.
Second.
All in favor?
Me.
Aye.
Aye.